From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Digital Strategist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In this podcast, I have my monthly agency chat with Ryan Waterbury. We talk about alternative CMSs to WordPress. Grab a drink, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Hey everybody, Stunning Digital Marketing is your digital concierge. We help you put the pieces together to make your marketing success. Specialties we have including WordPress design and development, WordPress security, which is one of our most popular offerings, ads, and more. So if you want to succeed in the digital world, go on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and have a look at what we offer, and we'd be glad to help you. And let's jump on a call and make it happening. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. And today I have my monthly co-host, Mr. Ryan Waterbury. How are you, Ryan?
I am doing good today, testing out some new hardware.
Yeah, hardware. What fun is that? As always, I am not doing any of that today. And today we were kind of talking about in our agency segment. There's lots going on in the WordPress community. I only want to talk about the drama. All I can do is go see X and go watch that mess go on, and it's going on, and it's going on. But one of the things is people are scurrying around looking for alternatives. And there's all kinds of them. There's open source CMSs, there's SaaS products, there's page builders that hosts offer to build websites, like some custom, like the GoDaddy page builder or the Hostinger page builder, to mention a few. And then there's some really cool stuff going on. So let's start by defining what is an open source CMS.
So there are quite a few out there. And, for the longest time, it was early on from the early 2000s when we started CMS options coming about. And people were going through, we had like Nuke, Post-Nuke, WordPress, B2, Drupal, Joomla. And it really kind of sussed out where we had three that were popular by the end of the 2000s to 2010s. And I was still in corporate enterprise closed source at that point for most of my work. So I kind of looked at it from afar and I was like, But you had Drupal, Joomla, and WordPress. And so what was happening was blogs started to get monetized. And the best out of the three for blogging was WordPress. So even though it was an inferior web building tool, the dynamic data and the display was blown away by Drupal when I looked at the two in 2010. It just night and day difference. That Drupal views was fantastic, and you could dynamically build websites, and it was great. WordPress, on the other hand, was just starting to come around to, custom post types. We had pods come out around that time with advanced content types to solve some of those problems. But of course, the money was where people went, So if you wanted to, and blogging was popular. It was kind of before the heyday of all social media ruling the internet. And so, we saw WordPress become a rising star. And now today, well, it used to power about 44% of the web, but I think that's declining.
A little bit. Yeah, certainly in the e-commerce space. I mean, because you got some SaaS products like Shopify kind of jumping in, and there's a few others out there. And there's Shopify, there's Etsy, right? There's a couple others like that. And
It's interesting that you brought up Shopify right off the bat. because one of my favorite independent Audi technicians, they don't sell any products on their site, but you know what their site's built with?
Right. Shopify.
Shopify, because it's very easy to spin up a site.
Yeah.
And in contrast to some of the other solutions that they look, I asked them why they did that. And they had a guy on their staff that, you know, had a side business selling some products, knew the platform, built them a site in 2 days. And it looks
Yep.
great and it functions fine for what they need. They're overpaying, obviously, but, and it's not the intended use, but that's where we've gotten to today. And WordPress is not where it's at. It's not an easy CMS to set up. It's not a beginner's platform at all anymore. It's evolved quite a bit, and it's not the be all end all. And I think with the mad rantings of the founder that we've seen starting, you know, this last year, people are looking out and finding out that there's a whole lot of people that have been on the receiving end of Mr. Mullenweg's rantings that have gone off and
Me
built new
included.
tools. Yeah. That there are a lot of good alternatives out there in the open source side, but there are a lot of alternatives in the SaaS side. So it's not the be all end all. And I think we need to start looking at, we always say it's the tool, it's just a tool. Your clients don't care. Well, they do care if they want to update their content. It needs to be easy. They need to understand it and it needs to work.
Yep. And it's funny, going in this record, I read a tweet this morning from Katie Key over at Barn 2 Plugins. And she said one of the reason her plugin company jumped into Shopify work, and she's not the first one. Yoast did it as well with the Yoast product, or Bluehost acquired them. Is because with all this going on, she had to diversify, and she didn't need all her eggs in one basket right now. Which I agree with. I got to tell you, I don't think you want your eggs all in one basket these days.
Well, it's unfortunate when it comes down to it for e-commerce. When we talk about WordPress and we talk about e-commerce, uh, it's WooCommerce.
Yep.
It's the giant, and everything else is dwarfed behind it. And it's unfortunate that there aren't a lot of competitors. Now, I have put money in every LTD round of funding for North Commerce. I haven't used it yet. I played with it. I've installed it multiple times. I will be making a transition this spring, uh, you know, and staying with WordPress. But man, it's looking more attractive to look at other things. And when we look at open source solutions, Drupal CMS, on top of, you know, just Drupal, you know, the CMS, but Drupal CMS, when we talk about that product, finishing out a solution, it's a really nice alternative and very attractive. And that one was just announced, you know, this last week. We started hearing some news about it.
Yep. So I agree with you. It's really interesting in the e-commerce space. There really hasn't been a Woo competitor. I mean, people have tried. iThemes tried back in the day with iTheme Shop or whatever it was called. A couple other people have tried, but nobody ever gnaws away at the market that Woo's got. It's just been really interesting, and I don't know why.
For the long and I liked WooCommerce for the longest time. And you know, I for my comfort level, I'm not a super crazy PHP developer, but I do tend to do my development with backend dev. And I got to tell you, there are a lot of hooks and ways that you can extend WooCommerce very easily. And you know, when I wanted to do extra little things like add a field here, collect extra meta information, it's really flexible and it's hard to get away from that. And then you look at the ecosystem around it for the plugins that existed that weren't bought out and brought under the automatic WooCommerce umbrella. You know, there's a lot of independent devs out there that still, because of the hooks and the ease of development.
I agree. And it's interesting. Did you even know that even Square offers a basic shop that you can integrate products right in the Square and take payments right then and there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's why I brought up Drupal CMS. And, why WordPress was so popular for so long. It was the plugin ecosystem. I want to spring on that with the third-party developers that, I talked about. WooCommerce made it easy. Here, extend our product. Here are all these ways you can hook in and do extra things. You look at, now you mentioned Square, that's a SaaS solution for content management. We have Wix, Squarespace, and that the SaaS side, those solutions were great for brochure sites for a long time. They were easy to spin up. Even, like you talked about the GoDaddy website builder, great. They didn't have custom content types. They didn't do e-commerce. You couldn't do events. You couldn't do calendar booking. Guess what? Since, the late teens and into the 2020s, all those things are available on Wix, Squarespace, and the SaaS solutions now have these custom objects that really held them back from, being a true alternative from WordPress. Squarespace, it's not, I looked at it, when the drama started, and it's easy to get set up. You see a lot of restaurants, there are a lot of really good pre-built, themes out there, and a lot of restaurants use Squarespace right off the bat. And that's just, it's kind of the norm. But they've really done a good job of allowing you to inject code and CSS and style things differently. And that platform's matured. Even SEO, there are some basic tools to, add schema, do proper markup. Wix is the same. They realized that they had a hole in the SEO world where they were not very friendly, and they've been making some big changes. Is it the best platform? Not necessarily, but for SEO, but that's even changing. That's a whole nother discussion with AI.
Yeah,
But
and
these,
I'll
oh, go ahead.
sorry, and I'll share with you, Warren Laneda, who's also a regular host on the show. His next video is going to be about which platform is the best for SEO. So we're already going down that road, and we're starting to look at options. And you're right, SEO has changed because of AI. I mean, I know when I do a search now, I'm more likely to go to Gemini and say, give me what I want, than go to and do a traditional search. So I'm just lazy.
Yeah, I mean, Google's for the longest time as they want to keep you on their platform.
Yep.
So, that top of page stuff now is all Gemini. It's all AI generated. So, platform wise, you got to answer the questions that Google can crawl. The nice thing is they're putting links back out to the actual sites next to their AI generated to give credit. And I think that's a plus, when you look at the search. But back to alternative CMSs, the SaaS platforms, of course, you pay for them and you're locked in. They own your content, but they're becoming more attractive because we always used to find I used to find small businesses that, started with a DIY builder, or a visual drag and drop builder like that. And they grew and they said, hey, we want to do these things. Like, I need to, book new leads in my calendar. I want to sell things online. And those platforms didn't do it. So you had to start over from scratch. And what did most of us use? WordPress, because it was flexible and it was easy at the time. I think that's changed. And, that's why we're doing the podcast, because there are other solutions.
Yep.
We
I
mentioned
so
this.
I so
Yeah.
agree. You're hitting this like on the nail. So keep going. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about, a couple of the big popular paid solutions, and some some of the designers that I talk with that are in the niche, the WordPress niche, they got nervous and they branched out and they said, hey, Squarespace is actually allowing us to do some of and this is from a designer perspective. I'm not talking super custom development, but they're finding that, Shopify and even Squarespace is allowing them to do enough customization that they can pull off some decent websites that they couldn't before, and they could only do with WordPress. So I think you're going to see some market share shift with the design market
No
to
question.
be able to offer professional services on the paid SaaS platforms. On the other side, and those paid SaaS platforms, I've had Wix reach out with an agency partnership, request. I think Squarespace has one too, where they're definitely targeting WordPress agencies that are ready to get out of the BS.
No,
Now,
no, no question.
yeah. Now on the other side, there's open source. And I talked about being a developer at heart. There's a lot of really good open source solutions out there that are mature enough, and you have a handful of ex WP devs that have started these, and so, not all, but many. Um, you look at Astro, Ghost, Craft, all these are starting to come up to be able to spin up a basic site, produce, blog content, and they're starting to get add-on and plugin markets that are maturing as developers shift away. I know you mentioned Barn 2 going and expanding to Shopify. That's a natural progression for Katie's organization because Shopify is the number one WooCommerce competitor. Great avenue to diversify. Seeing these other open source CMSs, though, if you're doing something in another realm, Craft has a lot of really cool add-ons. And, they have both, paid add-ons, paid, hosting platforms, or you can self-host all these.
Mhm. That's true. And then there's some lesser known platforms, just as you were talking, um, rigged into my head. I remember an old site developed on a system called Website Bakery. I don't know if you know that one. It's an open source CMS. There's all kinds of those kicking around. And then the question is, for a basic site, do you really need to go to a WordPress? And are you just overblowing it? That's the question.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we saw the rise and fall of Magento. Now it's, Adobe bought out the enterprise side, and it's their professional e-commerce and web platform. And it's great. The community version has suffered a little bit. It's still going along, but that market share, I mean, that used to be the cat's meow, for e-commerce and in the late 2000s, early teens. But WooCommerce came along and said, "Oh, you already have a WordPress site? Why don't you just do your e-commerce here?"
Yeah.
So we're going to continue to see this evolution. And if if WordPress loses market share, it's and there are better solutions, and there are. It just depends on what you want to do. Uh, so what it comes down to is, what do you want to do, and how do you want to do it online? The
Well,
nice thing is now if you pick a platform that's not WordPress and you want to do something that you didn't initially anticipate, you got options with the CMS that you pick. It wasn't
yeah,
always the case that way.
no question. But I think you also got to look at some other things. Like if you go to a SaaS product or an open source CMS, if you decide to get your data out of there, can you? That's number one.
Hmm.
Then I think you got to look at security. I am a big security guy. Yeah, is that going to be a secure platform? Do they update it regularly? What's the history of doing core updates to the application? I think that's really important. Then we got to move on to is how easy is it to do backups and do a restore, right? I mean, that matters too. Now, with a platform like Squarespace, they look after that, but I don't know if I like that idea because I'm not a fan of having everything in one basket again. So we're back to that again.
Hmm.
So I mean, we got to start to think about these options, and these options aren't trivial anymore.
No, and that's why, and I still have yet to spin up and install with Drupal CMS, the new product on top of, the core CMS. But it I see that as the first true alternative to what Mr. Molenweg was trying to achieve with Gutenberg. It, has all the custom content, basic custom content types you would want, like calendar booking, events, some of the other like team members, I think was one out of the box. And those are things I create, those custom post types in WordPress all the time for building sites. And it's great, it's flexible, but if they were there out of the box, it would be even better. It would speed development time, and it would cut a little bit of the layer out where, that barrier of entry, I think, would be lowered a little bit to start to see end users building their own sites again.
No, no, I think we're away from that. As we kind of wrap it up, do you have any other good suggestions about what to look at?
I think there are a lot of really good options out there. And, the fact that when I sat down and I looked at even, hosting like Run Cloud or Cloudways or some of the other, even cPanel, you look at the CMS options you can spin up. It's not just WordPress that are, the quick one-click install to get started. All the ones that I, mentioned, like Craft, Ghost, Astro, even some Laravel custom ones that take a little bit more to install, but Craft is a one-click installer. I think Ghost and Astro do as well to make it really easy. So
Yep.
even if you don't pick a paid platform and you want to host something yourself, kind of like WordPress, and have that modular option, be able to control your own data, there are mature enough platforms there if you want to get started. And those are the ones that I would start looking at if I were looking at a WordPress exit.
No, I would agree with you. Ryan, going over to One Dog Solutions, check out Ryan's work. He's, I guess, where are you mostly? LinkedIn and X these days? Is that pretty well fair? You know?
I rarely go on LinkedIn. I need to update my profile.
So X.
X is probably the best one. I get the least bro marketer spam there.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. You have an amazing day. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
you too.
Thank you very much for listening to the STM Show. The STM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital concierge. For all your digital marketing needs, especially WordPress security, jump on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and let's help you put the pieces together and make your business succeed in the marketing realm. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. A very special thank you to Ryan Waterbury for joining me on this edition of the STM Show. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I love you. I miss you very much. And thanks for all the inspiration over the years and your caring, your understanding, and helping me grow as an individual. Thank you, Dad.